Every Tuesday morning, I get the opportunity to lead and facilitate my inner wealth community. Now, we have in Inner Wealth Global in our business, personal development business, we've got different containers. So there's the Inner Wealth Mastermind, there's the Inner Wealth Community. Right now, I'm running a 4-week immersive experience called the Millionaire Mindset Intensive. That's a virtual experience. And in January, well, once or twice a year, and the next one being in January of 2025, I run 2-day workshops, live in-person 2-day workshops. So different mechanisms for teaching, for coaching, for empowering people. And that's really what my business and our business is all about. It's about personal development. It's about personal empowerment. It's about making sure that everyone has the tools, the techniques, mindsets, heart sets, and they're well equipped to create higher levels of wealth and success and freedom and fulfillment and happiness in their life and in their business. We work with a lot of entrepreneurs. Most of our clientele, most of the people that we work with are entrepreneurs. So people who literally want to own every aspect of their life and call the shots in their life. They want time freedom, financial freedom, and spiritual freedom, which is basically fulfillment, right? Internal fulfillment. And typically what happens is right before, especially in the mastermind and community, right before a call, I'll get a little inspiration, a little burst of this knowledge or whatever wisdom is required and like needed within the community at that moment. Now, I've learned to trust that instinct. And the first probably 20 minutes, half an hour of those calls, I teach. It's a teaching container and a teaching vessel for me. And then after I'm finished teaching, then we'll engage and we'll discuss and we'll unpack and we'll share wins and challenges and we'll be community together, if that makes sense. Help each other and inspire each other and basically work together to help create higher levels of circumstances in our life. This morning, I had my Inner Wealth Community. And when I was sitting with Angie and I was sitting at the kitchen table and our kitchen table, and we have a little sacred space there every morning. And right before the call, I was like, what am I going to teach today? What's the message that is required for my community to hear to help them level up in their life? And just like normal, I got that burst of zap of energy, and I said, I got it. I know exactly what I'm going to share with them. And the message today was all about the power of your self-concept. Now, what self-concept is, it's how you perceive yourself. Self-concept is an accumulation and a combination of beliefs and stories and I guess an understanding of who you are, what you bring to the table, your strengths, things that aren't really strong. It's a combination and a culmination of all of these that gives you an understanding or maybe a false understanding about what you bring to the world and how you see the world. And I know, it sounds a little mystical, and I know it sounds a little woo, but you don't see the world as it is. You see the world as you are. You see the world through your self-concept. You see the world through your beliefs and through your stories. You see the world through your experiences and the recognition of things that you've learned throughout your life. And the faster you wrap your head around this concept, and the more you wrap your head around this concept, the more freeing and fulfilling your life will get. And if you're listening to this podcast, that's what you want. You want inner wealth. You want to feel a higher level of significance and fulfillment and freedom and peace and love and joy. You want inner wealth. And inner wealth creates outer wealth. Someone who's internally wealthy will never struggle with money. Someone who absolutely loves themselves and loves their life and loves their purpose and loves their path and wakes up excited every day will never, ever struggle with money. They love themselves too much to struggle with money. Inner wealth creates outer wealth. And there's a lot of gurus in the world, and there's a lot of people in the world. There's a lot of teachers, and there's a lot of hustle whores in the world that they give you tools and they give you strategies and tactics to create wealth and success, but they never really tap into where somebody's true power lives, and that's inside of them. When they tap into their own personal power, then everything that they experience in life gets easier and gets more fulfilling and gets more freeing. And self-concept is such a huge part of understanding your self-concept is such a huge and valuable part to being able to create a life that you wake up excited to live every single day, that you sometimes when you start to create that life and live this life, it's like you feel such an immense state of gratitude. And I just texted a couple people today and yesterday saying, hey, I just want you to know that I'm feeling an intense and immense amount of gratitude today. And I just want to share some of that gratitude with you. My life today in 2024, in October 2024, looks nothing like and nothing even close to what my life looked like in March of 2016 when I got unceremoniously booted out of corporate and out of Fortune 500 executive leadership positions. And when I was 300 pounds and I was suicidal and my marriage was in absolute chaos. And the reason everything shifted is because I shifted. And as you change, everything changes. And changing your self-concept is the fastest, easiest, most powerful way of experiencing a completely different life, and a life that is perfect for you, that's exciting to wake up to every day. There was a time, and I wrote a book called The Imposter in Charge, and you can still get it, still available. Anyway, that book is all about how I held stories and beliefs about myself that were completely disempowering. My stories and beliefs back in the old version of Mike Kitco was that I wasn't talented, I wasn't valuable, I wasn't worthy, I didn't deserve happiness, that money was going to be the answer to all my problems, that marriage is hard, that I got to go somewhere that I don't want to go, to do something I don't want to do to make money that I need or I didn't need actually. My parenting style was very much selfish. It was for my emotional needs, not for the emotional needs of my children. I was a manipulative dad who, as long as I was getting respect, I was interacting in a healthy, loving way with my kids. But as soon as they retracted respect, then I went into a volatile place because my emotional needs weren't being taken care of. And that's not a healthy way to raise a child, for your own emotional needs to be served and satisfied. It's not a healthy reason to be in a marriage either. It's not a healthy reason to coexist with anyone in the world, is for your own emotional needs. It's your job, it's our job to take care of our own emotional needs, not to have somebody else satisfy our emotional needs. And the difference between that old version of Mike and this version of Mike, there were many versions in between, but is the self-concept changed dramatically that I wake up to each day. When I was in corporate, I was told all the time by people two things. One is I'm a very, very good speaker, and there's power in my voice, and there's power in messages that I share. And when I delivered presentations, people listened, and my organizations loved when I delivered presentations, whether it be talking about what we're going to do in the future or talking about what has happened in the past and performance. When I gave them a vision of where we were headed as an organization, I got and kept people's attention because there's some strength and there's some power in my vocal abilities, in my spoken abilities. And I never believed it because I was too busy believing that there was nothing valuable about me. And I lived in a state of self-rejection. There's always been, whether it was me in graduate school, whether it was me as a leader of Marines, whether it was me in Fortune 500 America, there was always praise for my ability to give presentations and to speak and to motivate and inspire. But I was too busy rejecting myself and shaming myself to ever appreciate the feedback that I was getting about myself, about something that was truthful. But I held on to the beliefs and the stories about what was going on in my mind and my body. That's first. And number two is I was also told that in conversation, I'm very, very intimidating, that there's an intensity and a directness about me, and that I was intimidating. And I believed it. So I tried to tone that intensity down. But what I failed to realize is I'm not intimidating. People are intimidated by me. And there's a big difference. One I own and one they own. And if I own my intensity and I allow them to own the fact that they're intimidated, then I get to be me and they get to meet me where I am or not. And the story in my mind was, not only was I not valuable at all, and people were lying to me about this feedback, the positive feedback that they were giving, but the gifts that I have in my voice, the intensity that I have in my being, the intensity I have in my delivery, the intensity that I have in my communication skills, there was something wrong with it. And there was something broken about it. And I wasn't allowed to be me and to succeed. I had to be who somebody else needed me to be okay. And this created a self-concept that I'm too much and I've got to tone myself down. And maybe if I tone myself down, maybe I'll find some value and worth. And I kept shifting and compromising who I was to try to get this approval, to try to get this validation, to try to get some kind of just approval and love and acceptance. And I kept changing who I am and who I was, compromising, shifting myself, trying to find a balance between how to be me and how to be loved as well. But deep in my self-concept, there was a story that I was unlovable. And that's why I was trying to find how to be loved and accepted, how to be myself and be okay. The thing that's changed over the course of 8 years is my self-concept has dramatically shifted. And in the community call today, what I asked them to do, I gave them this simple exercise. I said, I want you to write these words down, and then I want you to just free flow. And it said, I'm the type of person that, and then I just asked them to free flow for 3 or 4 minutes. And I wanted them to describe basically their self-concept, how they see themselves and who they see themselves as. And when they finished that, I asked them, and they shared a little bit, their self-concept. And there was some really good diagnosis of their self-expression and their self-concept. They told me in that little exercise how they see themselves. Some of it positive, some of it not so positive. And I asked them to share also what is the chronic challenge that they've been facing their entire life. And a couple of them after we had shared a little bit. A couple of them, it was about money. In some case, it was about really having the courage to step out and step into their authenticity. But there was a challenge, a chronic challenge that each of them were facing. And what I'll share with you is that their self-concept didn't reflect that they are the type of person to overcome that challenge. At no point did they connect the dots that they weren't overcoming their chronic challenge through their self-concept. They weren't even addressing it. And what I mean is, if you have a self-concept, if your chronic challenge is you are financially always struggling, and your self-concept doesn't contain and doesn't include, I am the type of person who can overcome financial challenges. If your self-concept doesn't include and encompass, I am the type of person who becomes financially wealthy. If your self-concept doesn't include you're overcoming that challenge, then you will not overcome that challenge, because your self-concept is ignoring the fact that you are a person capable of overcoming that challenge. And I hope this is making sense. Your self-concept creates your circumstance. So in order to overcome the chronic challenge that you have, your self-concept needs to include and connect with the overcoming of that chronic challenge. If you want to become successful, then your self-concept must contain something, a seed of becoming successful. If you want to be loved and you want to feel loved, then your self-concept must include that you are the type of person who feels loved. And what we typically do is we associate these with being an outcome of a new circumstance, but we must include them in the self-concept if we want to see the circumstance. This is a pre-thought, not an afterthought. This is a precondition, not an after condition. This is not an outcome. The changing of your self-concept doesn't happen after the circumstance is created. The changing of the self-concept changes before the circumstances changed and created, because the self-concept creates the circumstance. Your beliefs and stories and thoughts and your how you see yourself creates your circumstances. And I didn't develop a powerful, what I would say a powerful business with a mastermind and with a community and with coaching containers and paid speaking events and a podcast that's been listened to around the world in 61 countries and 6 continents, 61 countries, and over almost 1,300 cities around the world. That didn't happen. And then I chose to believe that I was successful. I chose to believe that I was successful and changed my self-concept to include the fact that I am a successful human being. And from that change of self-concept, I started seeing the evidence of that build and be created in my life. Our self-concept must include the outcome that we're seeking. Do this exercise. I am the type of person, ... And just free write everything that you believe you are the type of person. And then see if you see yourself as the type of person who can overcome the chronic challenge that you have in your life. Because if you don't build a belief, if you don't build a self-concept that says you can overcome that challenge, you will continue to be mired in it until you do change your self-concept to be the kind of person who can overcome that chronic challenge. Circumstances are an outcome of how we think and what we believe, how we feel about ourselves, about life, if we trust ourselves, if we value ourselves. Outcomes and circumstances are products of these things. They're not a result. The internal world, the beliefs and thoughts and feelings and emotions aren't results of circumstances. Circumstances are results of the inner game of wealth and our inner wealth. In order to change your outer world, you must first change your inner world. As you change, everything changes. If you don't change, nothing will change. But when you change, life will change. And life is just a reflection of who you are. Your circumstances are a reflection of who you are. Change yourself, you'll change your circumstances. If you try to change your circumstances without you changing, you're going to try to force your way through life. And there's going to be a lot of stress and a lot of struggle and a lot of hustle, and a lot of grinding. But as you change, everything changes. And your circumstances are just a reflection of your inner world. When you change your self-concept, everything changes in your life. And you're under no obligation to think disempowering things, to believe disempowering things, and to choose disempowering thoughts and emotions about you and yourself and your life and your directions and your capabilities and your capacities. There's literally no obligation. You are under no duty to reject yourself or to shame yourself or to crush yourself or to keep yourself small. What I believe about my own self-concept is that I am the kind of person that people seek out when they're looking to create more empowering circumstances in their life. I am the prize. I am a person capable of loving infinitely and impossibly hard. I am the kind of person who is incapable of intentionally hurting someone. I am the type of person who can be intense and direct and still be loved, still be accepted, and still be empowering. I am the type of person who can make a change and pivot on a dime. I am the type of person that as long as I have $1, I'm in the game. That my value, the amount of my net worth, isn't the amount of my self-worth. But with enough self-worth, I can create higher and higher levels of net worth. I am the type of person, when backed into a corner, I will not lose. And I am the type of person that people feel safe, they feel valued, they feel loved, they feel capable, and they feel their greater potential just by being in my energy, just by being in my presence, just by hearing my voice. And I'm inviting you to analyze your self-concept and see if you're operating from a place of empowerment or disempowerment in your self-concept and how you perceive yourself. And I'm also inviting you to change your self-concept, because when you change your self-concept, everything will change. I hope this is landing. Hope it's connecting. If you ever want to be part of the Inner Wealth community, if you ever want to be part of the Inner Wealth Mastermind, if you ever want to attend a retreat, if you ever want to participate in a coaching journey with me in any of my platforms, reach out, connect with me. You can, in the show notes, there's a text me message. You can go ahead and text me. Let me know. We'll jump on a call. I'll help you understand what a powerful next step is for you. And I'll give you the option to choose something from a plethora of things that will leave you better than it found you. I will leave you better than I found you. If you're ever interested in any of that, hit text, get in contact with me, and let's jam. You've got higher level circumstances to create. Your self-concept that you hold right now got you here. It's not going to get you to the next level. And when you change, everything changes.